Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Aloha, Hawaii Boss podcast crew, gang out there listening in, wherever you listen in or watch in, or wherever you kind of get your up-to-date business information and specific Hawaii-based business information. But today we're in a very special office. Today we're in Leilani Kailiawa's house in her... She is the boss on a big island, and we're so glad. Captain Cook, is that where you're at? Leilani, yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is so good to see you. Listen, we're old friends from a long time ago when we used to live in Kona, and our paths crossed and our families knew each other. But it's been a long time, and again, a lot of people don't know the Kona side or the Big Island. You know, some people do. This, you know, people who've lived over there. But tell us a little bit about your history and how you came up. Were you from the Big Island?
Yes, I'm actually from the Big Island. I actually grew up in a little town called Pepekio, which is on the east side of the Big Island.
Yeah, north of Hilo.
Yes. So it's about a 10-minute drive from Hilo. And so I've went to a small town school called Kalaniana Ole, intermediate. And then I went over to Hilo High School, where I graduated there. And so I lived in Hilo for about the first 18 years of my life. And so, yeah.
Is that, now, again, Hilo is a special place in our heart too, because we've lived over there, you know, for a good long time before coming to Oahu, and just loved it up there. That's such a beautiful coastline, and you know, but small town a little bit. You know, you went all the way into town, took the bus to get into town, go Hilo school, and you know, so it's, you know, big change. And then at 18 you were in Hilo. You know, was that your first dabble in work? Did you work growing up? Was that you know, was that kind of a thing in your family? Did you have jobs?
Yes, I actually my very first job was when I was 15 years old. And I worked at Taco Bell. And I was the first cashier there that accepted the first $1. So I helped open up the store in Poinaco.
Poinaco and Hilo. Oh, that thing has got wrapped around all the time. You know, if that thing could stay open 24 hours, I think there'd be someone at that drive-through. It's crazy.
And so for the first year, when I was 15 years old, I only could just be a cashier. I really couldn't go back and make food, make burritos, or drop things in the fryer, because I was just 15 years old. And so there's limitations. So even if the manager was telling me, you need to stay up front, don't go in the back, and stay with your customers, and
because you wanted to go back and help. That was just your style, right? You wanted to go back and help and make things work smoother, because you could see, probably sounds like at a young age, you could see maybe where things could work better and move things along, and so.
But let me
go ahead.
Let me backtrack though a little. I'm naturally a very shy person, very quiet person. But what Taco Bell did for me at a very young age is it helped me get out of my comfort zone. I was very quiet, didn't want to talk to anybody, but having to work at Taco Bell and talk to the customers, it helped me to have conversations with them and to make sure that our customers had the best service. And especially, you know, they teach us to have a smile on your face, you know, and a smile will brighten another person's life if they're, you know, they're down. And so yeah. And, you know, I think the hardest thing is if you're having a bad day or something didn't work out at school or at home, you're kind of forced to say, you know, having a smile. And sometimes even when you have customers come in, they see your smile, even if you're not feeling good inside, then that person will talk to you and they will actually make you feel
Right.
better.
Yeah, you have it.
So,
I agree with that. You have like this choice. We've been talking about this at work and in a few places, that there's this point where you could say, well, it's tough to be here and I don't know, but because you had a bad day or whatever like that. But you have that choice to sort of like maybe fake it until you make it, or just like, I'm going to choose to smile and see what happens. Maybe this will turn out different. And then that happens. All of a sudden, then you get that feedback from that person, and then, oh, I can do this and be happy. You don't have to be, work doesn't have to be hard.
yes.
And awesome. And learning how to communicate with folks is so important. So, and now as you've progressed, 18 Hilo, little girl from Hilo, where have things gone from there in your work life and in your family? I mean, that's a broad thing, but tell us what started to formulate as at 18. Everybody kind of trying to figure out, oh gosh, what am I going to do? What paths or options were available for you at 18 when you were trying to...
At 18, I actually did go to UH Manoa for a few months, and that didn't work out, and so I came home and I went back to work for Taco Bell, and I was able to become a shift manager.
Okay.
And so that was my start of my career. My career started as a crew member at Taco Bell. Then I went on to become a shift manager and an assistant manager. And so in between maybe a year after, I came home from college. The Taco Bell in Kona needed help. And so I ended up working at Taco Bell. And that's where I was working like 60 hours, 65 hours.
At least managers, boy, they say, oh, be a manager. And you're like, oh, that sounds great for me. But that means pick up every shift that's not full and still do all your manager stuff.
So, I mean, it wasn't so bad because I was single, and I was really into wanting to in my manager position because I love to learn, and I've been able to. One of the things that I learned as being a manager is I love to be able to train and to coach the employees because they have a system of how to do it, right? And so we just follow that system. It's like making a burrito. You take out the tortilla, you heat it on both sides, and you put all the ingredients, and then you wrap it up. So, in management, you also have different protocols that you follow. First, a crew member comes in, you do the orientation, you do teach them a certain area of the store. So,
so a lot of guidance as a manager. So you really like that part, and that's why you stuck with it. Because if you didn't like that, I mean, spending that kind of hours, it's not easy work. You're on your feet all the time, and you're moving, and so did you always see this is what you thought you were going to do for the rest of your life? You thought, okay, Taco Bell, there's an opportunity for me here, because there are real, there's benefits and there's great things about it too. I'm not trying to put, it's a great leadership opportunity for a lot of people. I think it's a great way to start out.
Yeah, I don't regret it actually. That career part of my life. I learned about myself. I learned how to coach, and I learned how to have different management skills. Talking, having communication with the employees. And also with the customers, and also to be able to talk with the supervisors. The supervisors from Oahu come in and, they talk about how we can improve the store, how we can build the morale with our employees. And so I enjoyed being actually a manager. I was a restaurant general manager for the Taco Bell in Kona for about 9 years.
Yeah, that's I'm sure you've got a lot of memories there. That's wild up there. The Pizza Hut and all that. Everybody that got pretty wild, and that was always full up there and busy, and
Yeah.
And,
But
so,
in between, I was able to, in between my manager career, I was able to actually take a couple years off. I actually went on a mission for my church, so that's I went to Oakland, California.
oh, okay.
And then when I returned, I went back into management.
Uh-huh. Yeah, straight away learning some things. I mean, you already knew how to deal with people, and so you headed out there and continued to serve that way. So coming back and you see that this, again, as a manager and opportunities for growth, but life sometimes happens, to us, and we have to make adjustments. And, we see from the pictures there that, we don't want to cut through. I mean, how we led up to here, but as there was your son was born with some sort of illness that required you to sort of really challenged you to figure out, okay, is this career, that, how do I balance all this stuff? Your whole life changes in an instant. So
yeah, my whole
tell
life
us about
changed.
that.
We do come from a blended family. So I do have, two older sons, a 19 and a 17-year-old. And so this is in the picture in the background, this is my son, Jeremiah. And he is currently 6 years old. And he is the son of my husband now. And it was a very difficult challenge for our family, because we've had to change the dynamics of how we live. Because just to kind of backtrack a little, so before he was born, we actually knew that something was wrong, maybe in our third trimester. And we knew that his weight was only very small, like 2.5 pounds, baby. And the blood flow through his placenta was very abnormal. And so we knew something wasn't right. But there was actually two things that really stood out as we did my ultrasound, was the heartbeat. And he was always moving. And so in every ultrasound that we had, we could see a hand, we could see a leg moving, so we knew that he was gonna turn out just fine. And we had faith, and so I ended up in Oahu 6 weeks before he was born, because they needed to monitor me every week. And wanted, Oahu is just for the listeners that are not familiar, I live on the Big Island, and Oahu is on a different island on the island chain. And so Oahu has the Children's Hospital, Kapilani Medical Center for Women and Children. And so they have the technology, they have the equipment to be able to help families with children that have difficulties. So I ended up on Oahu, away from my older two boys and my husband, and that's where he was born. And he was immediately admitted into neonatal intensive care unit. And we didn't know what was wrong with him. And so they monitored him, took his vitals, and 10 days after, I walked into NICU, and there was a lot of commotion, and they said, "Oh, we need to have Jeremiah, or have your son, do a X-ray." And so, because his belly was extending. And this was a day when I was going to be able to nurse him for the very first time. And so, and the surgeon said that we need to go into surgery right away. And so called Dad. He was home on the island. I said, "Oh, we need to do a surgery on him. And so, they came over and they found twisted intestines. So there's malrotation of the intestines that needed to be removed. And so there's actually 2 sections of his intestines that needed to be removed. And so that happened, and his stomach was actually open. And so all his poop went into a bag called the ostomy bag. And so that was in there, or
this is like the beginning of your challenges. You knew from then on, okay, you looked at your husband and said, okay, things are going to be different now. Like we got another, this is another road that we're going to have to deal with. And it sounds like that over time and lots of tears probably and work, you probably have thousands and thousands of people to thank for all of the, for this. But it seems like you've taken this energy from really, you've probably learned so much about the healthcare system and different things by attending this young man through this whole process, and required you as a young mother and as trying to work, and now you turned all of your skills as a working person now to this other whole thing that you have to be able to provide the right care for him. And so how was that transition for you? Like, did it overwhelm you when you're like all of a sudden like, gosh, this healthcare system is we've got this is going to take a lot of work.
Yes. It's going to take a lot of work. And one thing that really was really strong about this is supporting Jeremiah when he was born. So in the healthcare system or in the hospital, they would call the meetings rounds. So every day, the team that was watching over Jeremiah's medical things, all those, what we needed to do for him, we as parents was able to sit in the meetings and listen to what's going to happen, And so we had a voice. My husband had a voice too. And so he shared his opinion. Why don't we do this, with his condition?
Yeah, it's nice that you have a say. So it sounds like, and that's sort of the standard, but it sounds like Kapiolani Women and Children sort of has that as their standard for folks, and making you feel involved so you have decisions, because you're the one that has to go home and take care of all this thing. So if they direct the care, but then you have to go home and take care of it. So again, as you learn through that system, and then as you nursed him back in a way that only a mother could, kind of as at his side, but you still have this desire to create and to make a difference in the community. So tell us a little bit about the opportunity that you're currently, the project that you're working on now, related to the parenting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about that. And the reason I decided to take part of this is because of my experience as a special needs parent with medical needs and other different challenges. And so I got involved in a group called Parent Leadership Training Institute. And so they help the theme of our course right now, it's creating a caring community for children. And so it's to help create a cohesive group of parents seeking to improve our keikis' lives in the community, help us as parents to become potential leaders and recognize diversity as a strength, and also to help assist parents in understanding obstacles in leadership. And so part of this program that I'm in is to be able to come up with a community project that will help our children. And so the project that I came up with is because when Jeremiah was discharged from the hospital, we came home, and it was hard to find support like parent support, because I was trying to find a family or that has similar situation, because currently my son has a feeding tube. So he came home with the feeding tube, which is what you see in one of the picture. And so he currently has a G tube. And so there are, challenges and how to do it, feeding issues. And so I've been wanting to find a group to be able to talk to, emotionally,
because where you're located is pretty rural, right? You're out in Captain Cook. There's not a real big network, or you have to go all the way into town in Tacona to go to a group if there is one. So I guess it's been a blessing to have Zoom and this remote connectivity, I guess, to help with this project. But yeah, keep us, how do you intend to do that, to sort of create and teach these folks on your project?
Well, I'm working with other service providers as well. I've set myself up to where I've been involved in community, for example, Community Children's Council, and also parent, the Leadership Disabilities Achievement of Hawaii. And so, other service providers, I'm getting together with them. And basically what I want is a support line where the family can just call and want to talk, and also to provide additional resources, because there are resources out there, but sometimes I think that it's hard when you have to come home, you have to take care of your medical needs, and then you have to call, who should I call to get help with additional things like occupational therapist or
yeah, probably before this, you didn't even know what an occupational therapist was. I mean, and what they would. I got an order for an occupational therapist. He's not going to get a job. What am I supposed to do with it? There's all this new language you had to learn too.
Yeah. So I want to be able to like hold their hand and say, I am here. I'm here to talk. And when you need somebody to share, or just who can I talk to get the help for my child? Right. So, I've had to look at different phone numbers, look it up, call, who should I call? So I wanted parents to be able to feel like, okay, I can call her. She will tell me who I can talk to, where with resources, instead of also worrying about this.
Right. And some people too, just a phone number, because a lot of people don't, they're so busy with special needs. A lot of folks don't, I guess, internet people get on the internet, but trying to finding the right place. So who do I call? And it's a dead end number, or like children help this over there. But it is really difficult to get through all the noise that's online. So in your project, and especially in Hawaii too, we don't necessarily communicate that way. Is there like gatherings and things now that the pandemic is moving on? Do you plan on, getting groups together, to share resources? And
yeah, actually, I'm part of a group. We've kind of cohesively called it Ohana Feeding Support Group. And so this is a group where families have come together, where we have a licensed occupational therapist and a licensed speech language therapist. And for families who have children who have feeding challenges. And so they not necessarily have to have a child that has a feeding tube, but we noticed that, why is my child not eating like normal, like other kids? Right. And this, trying to catch it when they're a young age, instead of wait till when they're like 4 or 5. And so,
and you don't really, from our perspective, we don't really, people who've never had a child with this sort of issue, or family members with this, we don't really know that it's a need out there. But with your experience, you recognize, there's not only I have the need, but there's other people that have the need as well. So are you connecting like remotely? Are you able to now use this technology to get everybody together?
Yes, and then having to my Jeremiah's pediatric occupational therapist is in Waimea, and I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying what the name of her company is. It's called Keiki Therapy, and she has done a wonderful job. Jeremiah has connected with her, and so what I've done is I've shared what I want to do. And so what she's done is she has connected with the speech language pathologist in Hilo, and she had a parent that was inquiring, are there any parents that are going through the same thing? And so this is how we got the group together. And so we do meet remotely.
So you can find, that's nice. That's the other thing. I guess this pandemic has really pushed us online, but we've really found a lot of ease by doing that, especially having to travel all the way up to Waimea. That's going to cut out half your day at least, and half a tank of gas anyway, and it's not getting cheaper. So thank goodness for Zoom calls and remote, it sounds, Leilani, it sounds like a wonderful project. You've an inspiration to me. I've seen as you've in your family have struggled that when you see a loved one suffering, it just breaks your heart. But again, being there and helping them through and seeing them through those tough times, is really sort of moving for everybody. So again, thank you for your example. And again, it sounds like, for everybody out there listening, it's an example of how, you think your life's going one way, something happens, and it sounds like, while tragic, it still opened up a whole different avenue of exploration for you that you never maybe you would have never thought of if you hadn't gone through this. Tell us about where you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years.
Well, I actually see myself building the current business that I have and be financially stable and be able to help families here on the island, and also be able to travel and see other parts of the world.
Hey, that sounds good to me. And we can find you're on LinkedIn, and that tells you you're into some wealth planning, some family. Because again, as you've gone through this, you've it's challenged, I'm sure, your family resources, and you've learned a few things that way too. And so that's wonderful that you can learn that and give that back. But again, for your philanthropy, for your service, and again for your example to all of us of go. We really appreciate you being on and allowing us to a few of your precious moments to tell us how it is. So before we go, though, any parting words, things that you'd like to share, where they can find out about you and the project?
Well, I'd like to just share, through our journey as a parent of Jeremiah with challenges, or one thing that really have helped our family is to have gratitude in our hearts, to always have that attitude of gratitude. Because when we were in the hospital, we knew it was going to be tough, but we didn't take anything for granted. So we're grateful that he was alive. We're grateful for their friends, our family members, and no matter what, we should be grateful. And when we do have gratefulness in our hearts, that everything else around us doesn't matter.
Right.
We have our family, and we can just move forward.
Right.
And stay and it helps us to stay positive. Absolutely.
And now that he's sort of stabilizing a bit, and you've got the hang of it, and so where do you guys go for fun? What's a Big Island? Now that he's out and about, is he charging the waves yet? What's going on?
We love to go to the beach.
And
it's just like 10-15 minutes down the road, which is 2-step, or sometimes we go to Magic Sands.
Sure.
And he loves the beach.
That's awesome.
When we first came home, he had the tube, and so it was kind of hard to have him go into the water. But now that he has the tube in his stomach, it's no brainer. And a lot of people wonder, oh, is the water gonna go into his stomach? Well, water goes into our mouth,
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing. So yeah, we love going to the beach, especially in Kona. It's very hot.
Yeah, it's so nice, hot, and you can get that cool water, and it's so beautiful over there. So we're also jealous of that you get to go to Kona whenever you want to and jump in that crystal blue water. So again, Leilani, we hope to hear from you more about at the end of the project. We can put some updates, websites, whatever that or that phone number on there. We'll put it on the video here, and we'll make sure that everybody knows how to get the resources that you're trying to provide with your project. So again, thank you for coming on, Leilani.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, David.
All right. Well, we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.